So this is one of those stories that I never really wanted to share with you guys. Not just because my channel focuses on psychedelics and cocaine really is entering some murky waters there, but because I didn't want to influence anyone on trying cocaine. But then I realized I should share this story for the opposite reason, because this is going to help curb people's curiosity and potentially save them from ever trying it. And since the premise of my channel is harm reduction and trying to help people not make the same mistakes I made, I think this is the perfect fit for my channel.
According to YouTube's own community guidelines shown here, videos which intend to educate but do not glorify substance use are generally suitable for advertising. The following video does not glorify the use of drugs, is also not graphic since it does not show the consumption of any illegal substances. The following video is strictly educational.
Now, this is an interesting story because cocaine was really the first hard drug that I ever decided to try. Prior to trying cocaine, I was still in my anti-drug phase. A lot of you guys don't know this, but I was one of those people who was against everything. So basically, I was dating this girl for a while. I've talked about her on my channel, Swim, who I found out later was an escort. She would call herself a high-end escort. I'm not sure if she really was a high-end escort. I mean, it sounds better that way, so we'll just go with that. And now we had been broken up for a while, but she was still talking to me. It was one of those messy breakups that, you know, we took a while to really fully separate. And during this time of my life, I was really into picking up girls. So I used to go out a lot, approach strangers, got rejected a shit ton. And during one of my escapades, I met this dude who unfortunately turned out to be an ex-coke dealer. So I was hanging out with my ex-girlfriend. She was drunk, I was drunk, and she was talking about, you know, wanting to get some cocaine. And I think just because alcohol is the absolute best gateway drug in the world, while I was in that, you know, disinhibited state, I was like, sure, you know what, why not? Let's give it a try. So I gave my friend a call, the ex-coke dealer. He came by, and her and him got on pretty well for obvious reasons. They decided that we had to drive into the big city in order to meet one of his old friends who had some high quality shit. At least my first time, I knew that I was trying something that was certifiably fresh, like, you know, top shelf shit. So they came back. I was definitely drunk. She made out my first line. I was very adamant not to have a huge line, but mind you, I had absolutely no idea what a big or small line looked like. I remember doing the line, they did their lines, and waiting for the effects to kick in. They were definitely super excited. I was more so apprehensive because I was just kind of like, I don't even know if I really want to be doing this, but the alcohol makes it okay, so hey, let's just go ahead with it. And they started to get really chatty, just like you see in the movies. They were getting hyped with energy. They were talking to each other really fast. They were really into it, and they were talking about how good it felt. They were like, wow, this is really good shit. And he's like, I know, man, right? This is awesome. As they're like doing more lines. She's getting hyped. He's getting hyped. And I'm just sitting there, just, you know, sitting there. Still got a drink in my hand, sipping away, thinking, why do I suddenly feel so sober? And I was like, guys, I don't know if I'm feeling it. I feel like, yeah, I don't know what I'm feeling. And they're like, no, you need to do more. This is good shit, man. Yeah, don't worry, take more. So they made another line for me. I snorted it. At this point, I got acquainted with what's called the drips. It's where the cocaine is exiting your nasal cavity and it drips down the back of your throat. And people who are coke addicts or people who really love cocaine, they say they love the drips. It tastes delicious, but that stuff tastes god-awful. That is nasty. So I'm getting these drips. I did my second line, and I'm sitting there, yeah, still not really feeling much of anything. They said I didn't know what to look for, as if something that's supposed to make you feel good, you're supposed to know what to look for. I mean, I'm supposed to feel good, right? You guys have been telling me all night. That's the effect I'm looking for. It's not happening. So they made me go to a third line, and then a fourth line, and then at this point, I realized what was happening. The cocaine was counteracting the alcohol. I was just feeling sober, and I got frustrated. I said, guys, all I'm feeling is more sober. Like, mind you, this is impossible. You can't lower your blood alcohol level with anything but time. So I wasn't actually getting more sober. This is just how I interpreted the feeling. So I'm doing these lines, and I'm just feeling sober. And I'm like, you guys have to be shitting me. I just drank all of this alcohol because I wanted to feel drunk, because I needed a way to make me feel okay with doing this. And now all the drug has done is eliminated my drunkenness. But don't you feel good, Adam? Like, what's going on? Like, you should feel great. And I was just like, no, I don't feel great. But what does make me feel great is getting a free $5 sign-up bonus by visiting Swagbucks. Click the link in my video description to earn money taking surveys or to save money using Swagbucks promotions. Cheesy salesman aside, I'd like to give a huge thank you to Swagbucks for sponsoring this video. Now, they do offer other ways to earn cash besides taking surveys, but the surveys tend to pay the most. Keep in mind that when I say the most, what I mean is at best you're going to be making a few dollars here or there. You can't look at this as a full-time income. Anyway, let's get back to the main video. I mean, it did something because I was getting sober, but I never once felt this euphoria, like that good feeling that they told me that I was going to feel. And looking at them and how hyped they were getting, I never got like that. Not once, nothing. It was really, really bizarre. Now, thankfully, for the sake of this video, that wasn't the only time I tried cocaine. I think I realistically tried it anywhere from 8, 10, somewhere around that number, maybe even more times, before I decided that I was never going to touch it again. All of my exploration with this stuff happened within the same 2 to 3 month period, so it wasn't really that long of my life that I was trying this. And I tried all kinds of grades. I tried what people said was great stuff, bad stuff with other people who were also getting affected, and I never, this is so weird to me because other drugs affect me how they should, but this is a classic example of how every substance affects every person in a very different way, because I never once got that euphoria that people are talking about, and I tried it sober. I remember one time I was with my buddies. We were at this girl's lake house, and it was just me, the girl, who was a massive cokehead. I saw firsthand what the addiction can do to people. It destroyed her life. And my buddy, who doesn't really do coke at all, and the two of them were doing lines, and I said, fine, let's give this another try. This is probably my 5th or 6th time doing it. At this point, I just expected it to be shit, because like it never worked. So I did the line with them. My buddy laid down, and he was all like, whoa, that's good shit. Cocaine's supposed to make you hyped up, and apparently this was so good, like it knocked him off his feet. And she was all like talking a mile a minute. Like this girl loved her white, but not me. My friend looked at me, he's like, man, you don't feel that? I'm like, feel what? I honest to God feel like I just drank a coffee. That's the extent of what it did to me. I felt a little bit more energetic, but again, never did I get any noticeable euphoria. Now, perhaps I just have some kind of bizarre natural tolerance to this substance, which is hard for me to accept considering I have a very light tolerance to things like amphetamines. Very light. Why would I be so sensitive to one stimulant and not sensitive at all to the other? I mean, granted, they do affect your brain in a different way, but I don't know what the story is with this. Now, I'm sure people are going to watch this video and they're going to tell me, I'm sure the comments are going to be filled with people saying, you didn't test it. You don't know what you were taking. Come to Colombia, come to Mexico, come to Cuba, and we will show you what real coke is. You'll be fucked off your face, man. I promise you that. I know I'm going to get so many of those comments. They're probably all going to piss me off because I tried this shit at least 10 times and I never once felt good off it. Now, how is this a good harm reduction video considering it didn't even affect me the way it's supposed to? Well, let me tell you about my friend. This was the girl that would share it with me. When I say share, I mean she'd almost force me to take it with her because she just didn't like doing it alone, and I would just be like, fine, like I would give in and just do one line because I knew nothing was going to happen to me. This girl, it destroyed her life. Like, just because cocaine had no effect on me does not mean that that's what's going to do to you. Maybe you'll be lucky and you'll try it and it'll have no effect, or maybe what'll happen is you'll try it and you'll just fall in love with it, like my friend here who will not be named. I actually haven't even heard from this girl it's been 5 years now since I ever heard from her. She's not on Facebook, she's not online, so either she went out and changed her name or something, or she's dead or in prison. This girl would steal, she would sell her body, anything she could do to get coke. And it was really strange because she came from a very wealthy family. They had a $2 to $3 million house, nice cars. Actually, on second thought, that's probably common. A lot of people who come from money fall into that cocaine hole, and they rarely ever do dig their way out of it. I've seen this drug just absolutely destroy people. It's also very easy to overdose on it. You can bet your ass that if you did a gram in a night, you're probably going to die. It's not as safe as people imagine. There's also the added cardiovascular toxicity, which builds up over time, meaning if you do a ton of coke in your 20s, you might not even know the damage that it's done until you die in your 40s or 50s. It is not a friendly substance, and I'm not up-talking the dangers here. It is probably one of those drugs that should never be touched, because how it works is you get really high for 10 to 30 minutes, and then you start crashing. And the only way to get that high back is to do more coke. So people end up just dosing all night long, and sometimes into the next morning, usually until all the cocaine has been depleted. And this obsessive redosing, this fiendish quality to it, causes havoc on your body and your internal organs, particularly your heart. So this is not a substance that can be safely abused. There are far safer stimulants out there. Maybe just because I've never felt good off it, I don't understand the euphoria. But hey, I've tried MDMA. I've had drugs that fill you with euphoria. I know what being high feels like, and I would still never touch cocaine. It's too expensive and it causes way too much harm on your body. Not to mention most of the coke on the streets these days is barely coke. I think the average is anywhere from 10 to 30% purity in places like North America. Now don't quote me on that. You would have to go to places like Mexico or Colombia to get stuff that was at least 70% pure. You're never ever going to find 100% pure cocaine, because as soon as it leaves their cocaine plants, it's already stepped on by them once. It is one of the most stepped on drugs. There's very few other drugs out there that you're going to find that are going to be almost completely void of what they're supposed to be. It's amazing that it even has any effect at all. Looking back though, I'm very thankful that it wasn't a drug that I enjoyed, because the truth of the matter is, at that time in my life, if I did like the feeling, and because of how easy it is to get in my part of the neck of the woods, then I probably would have started using it, abusing it, got addicted to it, and it's one of the worst drugs to get addicted to just because of how damaging it is. Then you add the fact of mixing it with alcohol, creating what's called coke ethylene, which is estimated to be at least 30% more toxic than cocaine on its own, and most people suggest that it's the coke ethylene, which is metabolized in the liver, which is actually responsible for a lot of the sudden deaths caused by cocaine and the, well, equally as dangerous cardiovascular problems. The funny part is most people who take coke are drinking. A lot of the time they're even drunk at the same time, which is mind-blowing when you consider how much the alcohol increases the toxic effect, how much more dangerous it is with alcohol. There's few other drugs where when you take the drug with alcohol, it actually metabolizes into something that is going to be far more toxic than the drug itself. If I ever needed a reason to never touch it, that would probably be one of the biggest ones. But you know what? This all kind of leads back to alcohol in the end. A lot more people are coming to terms with the fact that alcohol is the greatest gateway drug. I mean, I'd have never ever tried cocaine if I wasn't drunk. Not a chance in hell, guys. If someone was going to go into a lab and tell them, guys, I need to create the most perfect gateway drug, they could not do a better job than with alcohol. Just think about it. When you drink, the primary effect is a lowering of your inhibitions. Plus, it makes you feel good. That euphoria synergizes with the lowered inhibitions, causing people to act really stupid and do shit way out of character. All the roadblocks that they usually have up that are there to protect them from these bad decisions are just plowed down, like a bulldozer went through them, and now they're just like, oh, cocaine? Is it gonna feel good? Just one time's not gonna hurt? Yeah, sure, let's do it. Let's have some cocaine. And then before you know it, once becomes twice, becomes thrice, becomes... shit, man. I can't even drink now without getting cocaine. Every time I get drunk, I just find myself wanting that 8-ball. It's a slippery slope, and it's a lot easier to fall down this slide than you would imagine. But anyway, that's my story. I'm hoping that by sharing this with you guys, some of you at least will be less interested in trying it, just for the simple fact that it's not that good. And I've actually heard from people who have had positive effects say the same thing. Like, you know, they'll say it's okay, but it's not great. It is probably one of the most overrated drugs in this world. I don't often make videos that just purely criticize a drug. I like to say that every drug has pros and cons, but I have a very difficult time finding any pros to cocaine. It's one of those things that's just, there's better stimulants out there, and the harms definitely outweigh the good. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. If you were offended by this video because I just dissed your favorite drug, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'd like to give a big thank you to everyone who's supporting me on Patreon. It's thanks to you guys that I can keep going with this, because obviously videos about cocaine are not going to be monetized. So yeah, and we're almost at our next goal. I keep saying this, but it's like every month we get so close to hitting this goal, and then we just never hit it. Check out Patreon, pledge to the channel. As little as $2 helps, and maybe within the next couple months we will hit this goal. And the morning Glory Seed video is coming soon. Those live experience videos can take quite a bit of time to put together. I made that Instagram preview way too prematurely, but yeah, the video still is coming, just be patient. But anyway, I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye-bye.